We love you. What's going on? It's your brother Mizo, also known as Surab. I like to use my real name here because this is close to my heart, and my mom named me Surab. So for Color the Blockchain, you can call me Surab. This is Sky.
Also known as Sky.
All right. And I woke up feeling a little weird today, so I'm sharing that energy with all of you. But yo, this is another stream for Color the Blockchain. What is Color the Blockchain for those that are just tuning in? We We bring equal access into Web3 by providing people resources such as computers, internet cards, general tech, and we also share basic Web3 education delivered in the cadence of pop culture. What do we mean by that? When we say delivered in the cadence of pop culture, we mean everyday language. There's a lot of language barriers that keep people away from the space and the demographic we're speaking to. We feel not even just the demographic we're speaking to, the general population does not understand this language and may be
Mhm.
fearful of this language.
Mhm.
Therefore, we try to deliver it in the cadence of hip hop, and that's what
Exactly.
we do.
And explain the terms along the way because there are a lot of terms that are very confusing. And there's a lot of made up terms that come from Wall Street, that they've used in crypto and stuff like that and online. So it's good to explain those things so that when they see them, they do understand them.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we'll explain it along the way.
exactly. And we do it naturally. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
right now, if you look on our site, colortheblockchain.org, color is spelled COLOR.org.
Mhm.
Don't hate on us, Canadians, because Canadians spell it COLOUR, Kalur. And it's like, we're not going to color the blockchain. But anyways, but color the blockchain, COLOR, the blockchain.org. And you'll be able to hear what hasn't gone live. Has
Yeah.
to have gone live. Yeah, it's live. All right, Al. Just we're getting some stuff in the back end. Al, maybe refresh your page or something. So one of our main initiatives, when you go to our website, you'll be able to see. When you go to our website, calltheblockchain.org, you'll be able to see some of our old proof of impact, where we gave a computer to a brother named Odinson in India, and we paid for a tour across 7 countries in Africa for the founder of B-Boy for Afro Break, and his name is B-Boy Lyrics. But currently, we're working on something that's being built on the Cardano blockchain. We're building with Cardano. Well, let me first tell you what we're building. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. We're building. We're bringing 5 computers to a community, an indigenous community in BC. We are based out of BC, so we thought we'd start here. And the goal is to bring 5 computers to them. We have NFTs that we're selling to raise funds, but we're also accepting donations. And a few weeks ago, Cardano for Climate actually donated 4 computers. We have to go pick them up. We're going to be picking them up next weekend, and we'll be documenting the whole thing. So we're excited for that, and then we're going to be bringing it to an indigenous community, and we'll be documenting that whole experience, obviously with everyone's consent. So if some pieces aren't documented live, we will explain it later on with our beautiful faces. Well, Sky's beautiful face. But yo, I don't know, Sky, did I break that down properly or what?
Yeah, it sounds perfect. Exactly.
So if you want to support us, go to colortheblockchain.org, and you can. And you'll also hear more about different initiatives. Like why we do the stream every week is we want to show people our love for Cardano, and we want to show others our love for Cardano. We want to help amplify the Cardano community by highlighting like-minded initiatives, startups, collectives, communities. And we also want to highlight these communities to people who are not involved in Web3 at all. And what we do is we find IRL communities, charities, social impact movements, even individuals. We're not being stuck yet. We're growing. You're going to see us grow and evolve. We're going to do this together. But right now, that's who we're calling on. And we want them to find a new way to be able to fundraise for their causes. We want them to find a new audience to share their cause to. And we want to help them color the blockchain. Together, we're going to color the blockchain because the IRL communities that we're focusing on are either helping or founded by people of color, indigenous folks, and women. And that's our focus because we feel we got to fill in the gap where there is a big gap. You know what I mean? I think I just went off today, but yo, that's what happens sometimes. It's a Saturday. I'm relaxing and I'm talking in a relaxing way. So yeah, anything else to add? I feel like I just like rambled off, said everything.
No, you said everything. It's perfect.
All right, yo. But today, oh, how can I continue? I can't continue without this. So one of the IRL charities, the first one that we brought on board, but not only did we bring this charity on board, this charity helped us begin. So we helped each other, you know. So thank you to Veda from Blankets to the Streets. So organization out of Seattle, and they bring people across America. They bring people blankets, and basically harm reduction material, gloves, blankets, whatever you could think of that would help with harm reduction for people sleeping on the streets. You know, and her story is beautiful. And if you want to hear more about it, you can check on our or one of our old live streams, either stream 1 or 2, and you'll be able to hear all about it. But big shout out Veda from Blankets to the Streets. If you want to check her stuff out, go to blanketstothestreets.org, and all that information is also on our website. But you think it's good to bring people on?
Let's bring them on.
Bring them out. Bring them out.
Bring them on.
All right, bring them out. Bring them out. We got Dragon coming to the stage. Bring them out. Bring them out.
It's hard to yell. What's going on, brother? Good afternoon. Happy Saturday to everybody. Dragon's Pitchfork, aka Shy. I'm with House of Fluid Reflections and Great Skull. We're rehumanizing creators and also bridging the gap between distress and support. And I'm signed on to Color the Blockchain with Mizzo and Sky because they're doing everything right now. We're doing it for the right reasons, and it resonates. It rocks with me, man. How y'all doing this Saturday?
I'm good. I'm all right.
Beautiful, man. Yeah. Looking forward to Elite and our other guest, Sustainable Ada, coming on today. So we bringing out the next new now.
Yeah, let's bring out Elite right now. Elite is an MC, an activist. His music is the soundtrack to the revolution. And since I moved to Vancouver, he's one brother that has always shown me love, genuine love, with no ego involved, with zero ego involved, I should say. And that's really hard to find in the hip hop world. And then when I started realizing that he does a lot of social work and where his heart's at, it was automatic. It's hard for me to hang out with people in real life. It just is. That's who I am with my anxiousness and all of that. But if I hang out with anyone, Kaseb and Elite are the ones in the city, man. So bring up Elite, and he's going to talk about his music and his social impact movement. Bada bang.
It's good, you guys. Thank you for having me. Yo, Dragon's Pitchfork, your background looks great.
Oh, peace. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, brother.
And you know, with Miz, there's always some haze in the room.
Yo, it's Vancouver. It's like keep the window open.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you guys putting me on.
No problem, man. We're really glad to have you on, man. I know I've met you once before, and we've talked a little bit on Twitter, man. It's always a good vibe, always good energy. Mizzo always brings good people together, man. That's one thing I really appreciate about Mizzo is he plugs me into really dope people.
Agreed.
Eager to learn more about you. I mean, when we've talked before, we talked a little bit about Color the Blockchain. You were on board to support Color the Blockchain from day one, and we consider you a part of the Color the Blockchain team, honestly. But
appreciate it, man.
We really want to learn more about you, the individual, because it's about the people before the technology and the products out here, but also about the cause that you champion. What's the cause that you champion? What's the name of the cause?
Our nonprofit's going to be called High Fijian Ties.
Okay, and give us a little background. Tell us a little bit about it, bro.
So what we're working on right now, we're hosting our first collaborated event. Actually, we did last October. We did a Fiji Independence Day show. And the goal of the show was to highlight Fijian creatives in the city that don't really get an opportunity to shine. And that includes indigenous Fijian people as well as Indo-Fijians. We're kind of a mixed community because the Indo-Fijian community is really disconnected from its origin because the way we were brought over to Fiji through the indentured labor program, removed us from our Indian identity and then put us in an island community with indigenous Fijian people where we were looked at as a part of the colonizers. So it took almost 100 years for the indigenous Fijian and the Indo-Fijian community to begin to see each other as actual allies, up against an oppressor that was oppressing all of us collectively. So I feel like over the last 30, 40 years, it's been a real change and shift in thinking between indigenous Fijian people and Indo-Fijian people. And us being disconnected from the motherland brought here, living in this society, can't really identify as being Canadian because we are guests in this settler occupation. So what we did in October was bring together a show with a combination of Indo-Fijian artists and indigenous Fijian artists. The DJ was Fijian, promoter was Fijian, the venue was sponsored by Fijian people, and it's never been done in the city before. And front to back, top to bottom, it was an all Fijian representation program, and it was incredible for us. It really felt like we were seen in a real way. So May 14th, we're doing our first larger event. It's going to be called Girmitia Day, and essentially what the Girmitia is the name given to us, or the name that we co-opted that represents us as indentured laborers for the British Commonwealth. And we were given a venue by the city of Surrey. They want to be involved in what we're doing. So we're going to have a bit more of a high profile event this year, and it's going to be, we're trying to keep them themed programs. So this program is going to be themed accountability, and who is accountable for the hundreds of thousands of displaced Indian people across the world. So I'm really excited. We're going to have some poets. We have a couple of PhDs on board. And with the nonprofit that we're building, we've been really, really blessed to have an archaeologist that's a PhD, and we have a legislator from the provincial government that's actively writing anti-racism law as we speak. And she's also part of a nonprofit that we're building. My partner in this, her name is Angeline. She's an event planner and activist, one of the most incredible human beings I've ever encountered, because she is one of these people that takes an idea that she wants to make a movement and actually makes it happen in real time. Some of the accomplishments she's had over the past 18 months are phenomenal in this city. So our momentum is moving in the right way. We've been really lucky to have a lot of creatives that buy into what we're thinking and want to bring it to the forefront in a real way. And in the city of Vancouver, there are hundreds of talented Fijian kids, DJs, artists, singers, rappers, but we've never had cohesion before, and we've never had a platform where we can all connect and collectively build. And I feel like this is the first year that we're doing that. So I'm really, really excited for some of the shows that we have coming this year.
Wow.
That
That's
makes me.
impressive. Go ahead,
Go
Mizzle.
ahead.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'm excited about the May 14th. Like the last time, I was just dealing with the heavy things, and I just couldn't come out. But I'm coming out this one. I should be here if we're here. You know what I mean? But I'm excited about that. That's another thing. Like, so you've been throwing mad events, anyways. Like you've been throwing hip hop events and comedy events. You've been throwing all of this. What do you see? Is there a difference in the city, like with the traction, when you do a social impact event?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like there's a lot of allyship, because there's a lot of people that feel like they want to be connected to a movement, even if they may not know the details of the movement. I feel like if people feel as if they are a part of something that means something, they want to come out. So we do a podcast called the High Praise Podcast, and the live shows that we were doing were a combination of live podcast and live event. So we would do Miz was featured on our first one. Honestly, Miz, I'm not gonna lie, people still ask me about it to this day and talk about your performance because you smashed, and you were hilarious in the interview. So what we did was we take our podcast, we bring it to a live event, we do the podcast interview, and then the guest on the podcast gets to perform their set. So we were doing musicians, comics, and honestly, my focus is ultra hyper focused on only representing artists that are POCs, and trying to highlight as many women as possible in our programming. My goal is everybody that is underrepresented is going to be represented and highlighted, and they got to be dope. Like your live set has to be dope. I feel like what we're building is highlighting creatives that really know what to do on stage and really capture the audience, because I want people to leave these events knowing about who the artist is, remembering the artist name, and every time they think about that artist, the first thing that comes to their mind is, man, that was amazing. So my goal is to highlight those artists that can blow up stages and do it in a real, authentic, and powerful way. So we did 4 events last year. We want to do 6 this year. 2024, the goal is to have 1 running every month. And they're ambitious, they're big goals, but if we look at what happened in 2019 and thinking that events were never going to happen again when COVID hit, and to move into 2022 and be able to pull out 4 events, self-funded, self-sponsored, paid every artist, venue scouted by ourselves, artists scouted by ourselves. So I don't know what you know about Vancouver, but there's a lot of janky promoters in Vancouver. And the focus has always been on white promoters promoting white artists and putting white artists on and building for them. And for me, that seems shallow and unhealthy, especially with the indigenous representation we have here. If they're not being put on, I don't know how you can have any event. So it makes no sense to me. So what we did is, if we can't have a seat at the table, we're going to build our own table. Me and Miz have had a lot of conversations about making sure that our table is how we get fed and how we can put people on. And if it's not going to be done that way, then we're not gonna sit. We'll just keep building our own.
Yo, honestly, brother, just to say, that's why I lived in Vancouver, 7 years now? I performed, maybe 3 or 4 times, 5, 6, maybe, if that. I perform. I love performing. I miss it. I can't perform here. I can't perform in the city. And even if I do get a slot at one of these events, the vibe is just not my vibe. It's like, I'm not trying to be there. I'm not trying to be around those people. No disrespect to people, but that's not where I'm at. I'm not trying to be there. So we need more.
And if the promoter doesn't like you, you get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, like we've seen happen with you so many times, right? And it's like 2 a.m. and there's like, oh, sorry, we don't have time for you. It's like, well,
every time, every single time I performed. Well,
it's pushed back. And dude, it's the not getting paid part. Like, how are we performing for exposure?
And having to sell your own
what is that? Yeah, and like how you perform for exposure, and the promoter can't get 20 people in the room. Where's the exposure? So to me, that's insulting. It's demeaning. It limits our ability to be, creative and seen in a real way. And if the most views you're getting at the show is the recording that you post to social media afterwards, then it's not a show. You can do that from your house. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The math never adds up. If the promoter is the one making all the money and the artists are literally paying to be on stage for 15 minutes, I find it a crime. I find it a crime against the artists.
Yo,
that's one thing. Sorry, that's one thing we wanted to do with Guerrilla Music in the beginning was we wanted to be able to put on artists, pay them, not have them sell their own tickets. We wanted to be able to bring people in for them. That was our whole goal, was just like, okay, the way they're doing it here is so backwards, So, it's bizarre.
That's impressive. I mean, the what you've described, I went to Fiji back in 2011.
Word.
It was beautiful, man. My favorite place I vacationed so far. It's been beautiful. It was for a honeymoon back then. And I saw the Indo-Fijian community, and I was curious. I was completely just dumbfounded as to how and why that community got there. So hearing this backstory that you've given here has given me so much perspective. I mean, you just sent me on a time machine and helped me understand why I saw these 2 separate communities, but I saw them kind of working together, but I didn't know where the bonds were and what the historical roots were. I never did the research. So I appreciate you sharing this with you. I'm sure I'm going to have a bunch of questions for you as we get to know each other better.
Absolutely.
If you had to summarize the mission in one sentence, what would you say your mission is?
That we are the ancestry of a diaspora searching for our identity, and through art and through activism, we're going to make sure that the Indo-Fijian community knows their roots, know where they come from, and know what we're going to, and how to make sure that we have a united, cohesive community.
That's beautiful, man. I love that, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
And I'm curious as to how so many Indo-Fijians and just Fijians came to be in Vancouver. Like, I don't know many here in the Washington, D.C. area, and there are people from all over the world here. How did you come up with so many people in one geographic area so far from Fiji?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of us settled on the West Coast. If you look at it from the Bay all the way up to Vancouver, the entire West Coast has large pockets of the Fijian population. During Pierre Trudeau's run as prime minister, he opened up the floodgates for immigration. And a lot of people that were in Fiji at that time, they were still battling with the indigenous Fijian people because indigenous Fijian people saw them as colonizers. And I completely understand that because they have no idea why these people are on their land. Don't speak the same language, don't have the same beliefs, don't have the same culture. So as far as my parents go, in the early 70s, there was a mass migration from Fiji over to the West Coast of the Americas. And because everything was so open as far as immigration goes, you could come here as a new immigrant and work 3 or 4 jobs and within 10 years have enough money to buy a house. So when I look at what my parents, their siblings, all of their brothers and sisters that have accomplished over the past 30 years, just for my immediate family, there's 7 different families that have been here for 40 years and they all own their own homes and they all have paid off homes and they're all retired, all off of working just regular jobs. Because, you know, Indian people are cheap and they buckle down and they don't do any of the extras and no excess and they just pay their bills and eat. And a part of that is being affected by colonization because you don't understand what it is to be a dreamer. You don't chase dreams. Your only goal is to survive and earn, survive and earn. And they did it, and they did it in a successful way, but they did it buried in trauma. And because of that, in their old age, they don't really know how to enjoy the success. They don't travel. They don't really do anything but stay within those 4 walls because that's what they feel is the only symbol of their success is having a home. And it's beautiful and it's great because it is a measure of success, but at what cost? Because they're never really going to know what it feels to be happy because they buried all of that in the work. So once we've kind of, coming out of this traumatic period, I feel like my generation has done a lot of work to remove ourselves from that generational trauma and understand what our strength is and reach back to find what our identity is. Because I've had this conversation with my parents. What does it mean to you to be Fijian and Fiji Indian? And it doesn't mean anything to them. In their minds, they're in Canada now. And the roots part of what they are, they're disaffected by because in their minds, it's not going to push them towards where they need to get to. And that was always crazy to me because how do you know who you are if you don't know where you've been or where you come from? But I understand it from a place of survival. But if you look at from the Bay all the way up, there are thousands of Fijian people just scattered throughout the West Coast. I'm guessing they assumed that it would be sunny on the West Coast of the Americas. So they all settled in the West and it's close to the water, which feels familiar to them as well. But yeah, any of the cities that you visit all the way up the West Coast, you're going to find pockets of Fijian people.
Man, that's so dope, man. Thank you for giving me that background.
Absolutely.
I really feel a lot more plugged in. I mean, I can't wait to get to know you better.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yo. But I appreciate it, brother, for real. And quick thing, Toronto, we got a lot of Fijians too, man, in my building.
Right.
Got a lot of Fijians in my building still, but there's more here. Yo, thank you, brother. And you're gonna come back with Angeline, right? To get more in depth with it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I can't wait for that follow up. You know what I mean? And on another note, so people know before Elite's gone, yo, this brother runs events, as you can see, in the city. We've been building about possibly having him help us run Color the Blockchain events. And this is being put out there so everyone can feed it some good energy, So let's make this one come to life.
Yes.
All right, brother.
Definitely,
One love, man.
Take care, bro. Thanks for coming through, man.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Lee.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
Boom. All right.
That's so cool to know the background.
Yeah, it is, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. This is a great opportunity to learn from me, man. Thanks for bringing him through, man. So appreciate that, bro.
Yo, of course, yo. It's a good brother. Good causes. So next up, you want to run the intro?
Absolutely. Next up, we've got some people from the Cardano community. We've met these gentlemen through Cardano for Climate, one of the organizations that we're building with, and I guess we can consider ourselves members of, correct, Mizzo?
Yeah.
So, and you'll learn more about Cardano for Climate as time goes on, but these gentlemen right here are actually our first official partners, I guess, so to speak, since we've come together. They are They go by the name of Sustainable Ada, and they are Cole and Raz. Let's bring them on. Let's talk about who they are. Oh,
Yes,
wow.
what up? How y'all
Look at the
doing?
unified backgrounds. I like this.
Hey guys.
Hey, thanks for putting us on today, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Sound great, man.
Mic
Thank
sound
you
good?
for coming on, man. Yep, absolutely. Sound absolutely perfect, bro. Thank you both for coming on today. And we all, the whole Color the Blockchain team owes you a note of thank you for partnering up with us and for showing up today. Looking forward to some of the things we've been talking about doing together. And before we get into talking about the things we want to do together, we'd like to have you guys introduce yourselves, and then maybe let's introduce Sustainable Ada after we hear about the two of you.
Definitely,
Let's
yeah.
start with you, Raz.
Well, yeah. Hi everyone. So my name is Razali Raz, as some of you guys know, co-founder of Sustainable Ada with Cole. I'm here based in Paris, but born and raised in London. Have parents from Malaysia and Philippines, so that's my heritage, my ethnic origins, and yeah, really grateful to be here with you all. Thank you for hosting us, and you know, given we're all over the world, it's really miraculous and inspirational to know that people come together for a common cause, you know, and I think that's where Sustainable Ada for Cole and I. That's what brought us together. You know, we have our values and our vision and mission, and I'm sure Cole will share more about that too.
And yeah, hey everyone. I'm Cole Bartlett, another co-founder of Sustainable Ada, and Raz and I came together about 2 years ago with a common vision and mission to connect the dots between blockchain and sustainable development. And through many different initiatives we've taken on, and through the lovely Cardano community and all the support we've gotten, we've been able to continue this mission and vision. And that's really why I'm here today. And I'm also calling in from Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States. So we are a global team, and it's really cool that we can connect with one another from so far away.
It is, man, and we thank you guys for coming in today from so far away. At least from me, you guys, Cole, you're not too far from Mizzo and Sky, I guess, over there near the West Coast. You're on Mountain Time, I guess.
Yeah.
But Sustainable Ada, if you guys had to describe what sustainable, well, I guess let's start with your mission. What's the mission for a Sustainable Ada? Let's talk about the mission and then what you guys do.
Yeah, so diving into our mission, so yeah, we're Sustainable Ada. Our goals are to connect the dots between blockchain, sustainable development, and Cardano. And we started with just highlighting stories and use cases of how projects in the ecosystem are building a better tomorrow today. And we really kind of dive in, meet with teams, and learn all about these different projects, and then kind of highlight their stories in a nice, easy, readable way so anyone in the world can view this information and kind of dive into how blockchain can have a sustainable and positive impact in the world. And we're inspiring hope through action. That's like something we really believe in.
I love that. I want to say, like, since I met you brothers and like heard everything you do, it's so genuine, you know what I mean? Like everything, like the build is always, it's always feels so genuine, and I love like how naturally, like linking with well,
Hey, Mizzo, your
Web.
mic's going a little, your mic's fading in and out, bro. Not sure what's happening there, but we're losing you there.
Am I good
Check
now?
one, check. You sound great.
All
Perfect.
right, I'm just gonna hold it like this, like a pilot. No, pilots use two hands.
Sound efficient.
Yeah, but basically, yo, all I was trying to say was, yo, I appreciate y'all, and you have a great network of different people that we can tap into in different communities. So it's like a great launching pad space almost for anyone who believes in social impact and they want to jump into Cardano. It seems like it's a great place to go. You know?
Yeah, definitely echo what you say there, Mizzo. Are you still receiving me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It looks like I'm break dancing here on the screen. So, but
you still sound great, and you still look like you're coming through clearly, Raz. So don't
cool.
worry at all, bro. You sound great. You guys mentioned sustainable development, and one thing that I think is a great thing to do, especially for the audience that we're working with, is how do you define sustainable? And then after that, what do you mean by sustainable development?
Yeah, so with sustainable, there's the terminology that's used in the community, and then there's the dictionary definition. But clearly, not everything in the world should be sustainable. Like, for example, we're talking about fossil fuels. How we're fueling our economies and our day-to-day lives. We are in consensus largely that we can't continue our dependence on fossil fuels if we want to remain on this planet in a healthy and balanced way. So things have to change. And then what has to change, what has to develop, can we do those things in a sustainable way where we're all able to prosper, we're all able to share the resources in an equitable way, where it's not because I get to get ahead in life that someone has to suffer for it. This idea that everyone here, on the stream session right now, we're all here thanks to the devices we're using, right? We're on a computer, we're using electricity, the computers have batteries, the batteries have components that are from supply chains that go across the planet. And the more you dive deeper into how we're all interconnected in our just sometimes taken for granted existence, that's when you start to realize, how can we build a planet and a system where we can all have a quality of life that, not only are we just having the basics, it's ideally possible, right? Where we're not just surviving, but actually having a life that's allowing everyone to flourish, everyone to dream, to aspire for more than just having a full belly. And I think that's where it really resonated with me when I heard, I think, Arif earlier, and he talked about his parents, I believe, and his family. And, I really had a lot of flashbacks hearing him speak about like, the immigration and this mindset that, I just want to save money so that I can have a home. Because, usually from generation to generation, if you want to get ahead in life, it clearly has an impact on you, what you inherit and how your starting cards are, right? We're all born somewhere in the world, and your passport can have an impact on your potential as well. And so with Sustainable Ada and, our hub of being able to meet each other in this space that has diverse people from all backgrounds, but what are the reasons why we're here? This question of why are we here? I think that's where we all realize there's something very strongly in common. Whether it's we see an issue in our community that can be solved with support from others that also feel the same pain. Whether it's the struggle for finance, this is the system we live in, right? A lot of the problems that exist are usually because of a lack of finance or a lack of attention to solve that problem. So if we direct our attention to it and we gather the resources, and I think that's what's very revolutionary about Web3 and blockchain and crypto, is how do you direct resources in ways that are that weren't possible before. And so breaking that down in an understandable way, because it's obviously a technical space as well, is a challenge. Because try talking to your parents or your family and friends about this this stuff, right? And you have to take a certain approach, otherwise it's just going to sound like, oh, no, that's too technical, or that's boring. And so I think that's where Sustainable Ada really, that was one of our focus areas, to meet people who have had a change in their lives thanks to this community and this technology, and to tell that story. Because I think stories is how humans have learned, through millennia, through oral traditions, and so I'm really grateful that we're here to share our stories as well. It's why I was really moved by our conversations before, hearing about why you're all here and the mission and Color the Blockchain. And I think that, in one sense, we're early. Some people say, the market's crashed. Why the hell are you still interested in crypto and blockchain? And you guys are crazy. But that's part of the challenge as well. How do you communicate that maybe you do need to be crazy to to really make a difference in this world, right? Otherwise, you just go with the flow and you get things for what they are, and nothing can change. Oh well.
You got to be a little delusional to try to implement and get some change in this world, to be honest, man. And I just made a post about that today, about leaning into delusion, because that's what's gotten me where I am today. I wouldn't have met any of you guys if I hadn't leaned into my delusion. So I appreciate that. You shared a really dope story with this, telling us about your journey to Web3, and I think if we have time, I'd love to get into that today. But Cole, how about you? Do you have much of a story about how you got in here? And I think one question I really have is your sustainable ADA, not sustainable ETH or sustainable Bitcoin. Why ADA? Why Cardano?
Definitely, yeah. So diving a little bit into my story, I'm only actually 23. Recently graduated college about 2 years ago, and while finishing up my studies, I found this strong connection with blockchain technology and just sustainability as a whole. And kind of I tried sharing with friends and many people, but a lot of people didn't believe blockchain could be sustainable or environmentally friendly. And what we see in the news and the narrative today is that most chains are not sustainable, and most chains are not really making a difference in the world, and actually just causing more energy consumption and more fossil fuels to be used. But I found a strong connection with Cardano because Cardano, from the ground up, they have a different approach to things and really start from the ground up, thinking in a sustainable mindset. And that's kind of what started the ambition and the idea of creating sustainable ADA. That disconnect and seeing so much like unknown in the space, pretty much. So we decided to start creating stories and use cases from there. And we chose ADA because, one, like I said, it is completely different to other blockchains in the entire blockchain space. But when kind of just looking at some fundamental pieces of it, something really cool when you're trying to compare like Cardano to Bitcoin. Cardano actually uses 10,000 times less energy than Bitcoin per transaction. And a good way to kind of put this into, like, picture this is like a kettle that's boiling on a stove. So think of it as for a Cardano transaction, that takes about 3 minutes of boiling the kettle, where a Bitcoin transaction would take 23 days. So you can see just from that comparison, there's a big difference in the way that consensus protocols are created. And this is really because of Cardano's proof of stake mechanism, Ouroboros. And I could dive a little bit more into that as well. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of why we're here, and kind of a little bit about my story as well.
Thank you, man. That's really helpful, and this really helps explain part of the reason why this partnership made so much sense for us. Is you guys are answering a lot of these climate questions that we've had. Our first feature, Veda from Blankets to the Streets, she had some questions about the climate. She was able to answer a lot of them for herself, but we thought that a conversation about climate would be helpful for a lot of the people that we want to introduce to this space, and that conversation should be ongoing in the space. I don't think a few facts just being mentioned and set down are should be static ever. I mean, the stats are constantly changing, and that means the conversation needs to stay alive on these topics as well, so that we make sure that things are still changing as well with the technology and the way that we utilize the technology. So we're looking forward to having you guys back next week for a full conversation about the climate, where we can really dive in with Veda from Blankets to the Streets. We also have another guest that we'll announce next week as well, who will come on with you guys, and we're really excited about that conversation. Ms. Oskai, did you guys have anything you'd like to share? Because you know how I go. I can ask 1,000 questions and we'll be here all afternoon.
You ask amazing questions, man. Sky, you got something?
I was going to say the main thing that people ask us is because we sell NFTs to raise money, and people are like, well, is it is it environmentally friendly to buy NFTs? And I think that's the one thing that we have to break down for people is are NFTs harmful to the environment, or, you know, because nobody really understands how it works or why it works that way. I think that's one of the main things.
And yeah, just to touch on that, we'll just back to that example I just had. Cardano minting an NFT is much more energy efficient than many other chains, and when looking at fee structures and things like that, like there's a big barrier to entry for Ethereum, especially because it can be like sometimes $100 in gas just to mint that NFT, where with Cardano you're paying cents to mint that NFT. So through my crypto journey, I've definitely minted quite a few NFTs just to check it out and kind of learn more about NFTs as a whole. And they are really cool, and there's a really cool NFT community within the whole Cardano ecosystem. And something we're actually focused on is highlighting the NFT good for good projects. So there's some projects like Berry Tree, Earth Natives, and a few others who are actually working on the ground using these NFTs to create social good and social impact within the world. And that's another thing we've been really focused on. And I just wanted to say it's such an honor to be your guys' first partner, and I'm super excited to see what we can do together and all the collaborations that come out of this. So,
Very cool.
Yo, I have to say, I have to get a hype you out for a second. No, for real, thank you. Like, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like, thank you, because it takes people to believe in what someone's doing, what people are doing, for everyone else to start believing in it. It's just that's just how it is. And y'all being the first people to officially co-sign and say, yo, we support this, we're partners, we support this, like on this level, is huge. And I'm so grateful and so proud of this moment, and I'm so happy. You know what I mean? So thank you for like believing in it for real, and thank you for helping us like get this moving. We're gonna keep moving this way. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are supported by so many great projects already, and you work with so many great projects within the Cardano ecosystem, where it's like it automatically, you know what it is, like we got a feature from Nas. You know what I mean? You guys are Nas, we just got a feature. That's how I feel right now. But I do, and one more thing I want to say, because I just want to speak my heart right now, is I love the fact that it's sustainable ADA, right? And you're talking about all this technology, and then you bring it back to nature, because you bring it back to the art and the power of storytelling and the roots of storytelling and oral tradition. That's nature. That's natural. That is sustainability. Someone's language, a community's language, a community's storytelling ability, a community's oral tradition, that's sustainable too. You know what I mean? So y'all are being sustainable on every angle as far as I can see it. So thank you. I just wanted to give you your flowers, like, you know what I mean?
Much love and respect to all of you. That's oh man, I'd give you a hug if I could.
That's beautiful, man. And I know we've got some video about sustainable ADA. I think it'd be great to introduce the audience to a bit of that. If we've got some that we can play, if we don't have it, that's cool. But if we got some video, I think we could play that, and then maybe we talk to you about. I know you guys have a really high priority impact initiative that you're working on right now that I think is really exciting to hear about, and I'd love to share that with the people if we can. How's that sound for you guys?
yeah, that
Okay,
sounds
perfect.
perfect.
Cool. While we work on getting the video up, maybe we'll just get a little bit more background. I know, Raz, you told your story the other day about how you got into the blockchain space, and I thought that was really engaging. That really felt like it really hit my heart, because it was kind of a revolutionary story, and that's kind of what brought Mizzo and Sky to create Color the Blockchain, and it's also part of what brought me here as well, is some sort of tragedy. Do you mind sharing a bit of that story?
Oh yeah, sure. Where to start?
And I don't want to put you on the spot with anything, and if, feel comfortable to share as be as succinct if you want to be. But this is a space where you can be as free as you want to speak as well too.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I guess go back in time. So I was growing up in London, right, and working there. I was teaching in secondary schools. working with the age group from 11 and above. I think you call it high school in America. So yeah, we were working there, me and my colleagues. Obviously, a lot of people in the UK think that working in the public sector, working as a teacher, a nurse, the public sector is you gotta have a certain type of mentality. Most people who come out of university these days, it's either you go into a graduate program or you work for the private sector. But if you say you want to be a teacher or a nurse or something that serves the people, usually people think, I'm not speaking for everyone, right? But most people think, why would you do that? That's like a jumping into the Titanic. It's a sinking ship. You're crazy. But growing up, my mom and dad, they came from Malaysia and Philippines, and they worked very hard, and they did their best to support families back home, as we say, and still try and raise their own family in London. And that really, I think, marked me growing up, because I figured there's many things you could do with your life, and education is seriously one of the biggest keys to changing your whole life ahead. If you don't have a family that want to support you at home when you're outside of school, that already affects your life chances. Then when you're in school, if you have a teacher that doesn't give a damn about you and doesn't really encourage you to strive, that's going to affect your life chances. And then the system, the way it's designed, if you leave school with certain grades, certain doors close because you don't have XYZ grade. It doesn't matter what kind of person you are. It doesn't matter if you had a bad day on the exam day. They don't ask those questions. So, I was thinking, what can I do with my life as I was studying at university? And my mum, bless her, she was like, you should go into either medicine, or you should be a lawyer, or you should, work in a bank, the sort of jobs that most families believe are going to be prestigious, and you can have a good life out of it, right? Earn good money. And so I studied economic and social policy, but I studied part-time in the evenings, because during the day I figured if I can work at the same time, earn a living, I'll have a very different student life, having some money at the same time. And fortunately got a job in a school. It was a special needs school, so all the students there had either autism or some kind of developmental condition. And so at the time I was like, am I really qualified for this role? Like, I went to an agency. I said, I'd really want to work with young people, and they were like, yeah, if you're interested, you can go to this interview and give it your best shot. And so I was honest in the interview. I told them, I'm still studying part-time in the evenings, but I'd really love to be involved in this project of yours, because I haven't heard of anything like that ever before. And what they had was they managed to secure a grant and laptops, and these laptops would go to 10 families, and the person they're hiring would become the in-school teacher, and after school you would go to the families in their homes and work with the student, with the family, to help facilitate the learning at home and the use of a laptop, the software, the programs. And so at the time, they were like, there's no other project that we can really base it on. So it's really a blank canvas for you to shape. So I was like, wow, that sounds awesome. I'd love to be part of this. Next thing I know, I'm doing that for 4 years with the school, studying in the evenings. And the families, some of them didn't have internet at home. Some of them never had a computer. Families sometimes didn't speak English at home. Some of the families literally were still trying to figure out how to navigate the social security system of the UK. so I became not just, you know, the IT teacher for their son or daughter, but almost like a counselor or a social worker, or, you know, someone that represents the state and the school. I was doing so many things that I didn't really feel like I was even trained to do, but it was all having to come naturally, you know. And I witnessed how powerful it is to have someone that's the link between the home and the school and the community services. Because if I wasn't doing that, then they would be left to find a way for themselves, whether it's through family or friends or the internet, if they even had it. So because I was able to see that those were the needs of the families, I told the school. And so we started to launch new projects in school that were, you know, catering to the needs of the families. So I was running classes in school for how to use a computer for parents, how to find a job. You know, how do you go to the job center? And bit by bit, we were thinking, well, you know, this isn't a one-person job. More people need to get involved here. But money is running out because our funders originally gave money for laptops for autistic children. They didn't give money for everything else. So we would have to report back, you know, the progress of the project. We secured more funding to do the same project with more students. And then the financial crisis happened. You know, I don't know if you remember back in 2007, 2008, we had the crisis where the banks were needing to be bailed out. We needed public money, apparently, to help save all these too big to fail banks. And so our funders' priorities changed, and no longer were they really into supporting projects like ours, but the shift towards employable skills and other priority areas. So we had to stop the project, unfortunately. And that also then made me realize, you know, without money, great projects, impactful projects can't continue because the staff, you know, can't be doing everything forever on a voluntary basis. Everyone also needs to find a way to be sustainable for themselves. You know, you have to have balance and well-being if you're going to help others. And I was talking to Cole about this the other day. You know, if you take a plane, you know, and you always have that person in the plane telling you how to access your mask if an emergency happens. And they always say, right, you should put your mask on first before even if you have a child. And yeah, so that was also a kind of harsh lesson for me, to think that the project's over and the families will no longer have this service for them. And I was trying to navigate the grant world and the financial sector to see if there were any funds available. And I would send messages out there and applications, but just couldn't get any money to keep this thing going. You know, one thing led to another. My family back in Malaysia and Philippines, you know, we're trying to make a life out there too. And we start researching into different technologies, and there was this boom of interest in biofuels. And so everyone in Malaysia, for example, were saying, oh, if you get into biofuels, it's very good for the environment because you're no longer going to be using fossil fuels as much for certain things. And you can turn land that's unproductive and unused to some good use if you grow these particular plants. So my family were looking into this, but it wasn't the same story for everyone all over the world. You know, there was a lot of controversy with biofuels because land was being taken from tribes, taken from people in ways that were through corruption and exploitation and lies, to convert that land for the use of profit generation biofuel. And so our family were like, you know, we don't want to be part of something that's actually not how it was originally marketed. You know, it's not actually a force for positive change in a lot of these instances. So we backed out of that. And going back to London and thinking, yeah, what do I want to do with my life? I had a close friend of mine commit suicide, and I was like replaying over and over, some of the last conversations we had before he left his suicide note, which had my number in it. And his family called me asking if I knew where he was. And yeah, for me, that really was like a reality slap, which is, you could have someone who on paper is qualified to do well in this world, but that's not the full story. Sometimes families have all kinds of pressures, society puts pressure on you, and you don't have a job, so then how do you survive? And so my friend, he had some health issues, he wasn't able to work, and I moved back to London, and he helped me set up again in my place. And he was like, yeah, I've been really looking for a job for months now. It's really hard, I can't find one. And I was like, just hang in there, man. It's gonna come around eventually, just keep applying, and we're gonna hang out more anyway. Yeah, it's good that you're not working, we'll have more time together. But yeah, he obviously had a lot going on, and he didn't share to that extent what was happening. And when I got the news, I was working in a job that for me on paper as well was the dream job. I was working with schools. We were going to schools with a program that inspired students to develop entrepreneurial solutions to climate change and all the issues of this world, right? We would go into schools and we would be like, right, think of all the problems you think you can solve. Okay, great. Let's solve them. How do we solve them? Right? We need a team. We need resources. And this program was amazing. We had mentors from like the business world, from the local community. And it would be like a Dragon's Den Shark Tank journey where you pitch your ideas to these experts, and it was a competition where you get schools all presenting and competing in the regions. And so I was helping this program in the Southeast, and then this happened in my life, and I just felt shattered in my head. I didn't really feel like I could be in front of people talking about how to make the world a better place and telling young people that there's a lot to still have hope for. I needed a bit of time, to kind of get straight again in my head. And when I felt that things were a bit more clearer, and I figured, what do I want to do again to go back out of the cave? I thought, yeah, let me train to be a teacher, actually, like formally, because all these years I've been doing roles that are considered as an unqualified teacher. So I hadn't fully qualified as a teacher. So I thought, let me do it. So I went to university. I did the formal training, and then it was like the baptism of fire, because the public school system opened its arms for me. And for years, I went through different schools, the schools that you read about in the newspaper that are supposed to be the best, and the schools that you don't ever read about because no one wants to talk about them. And through that journey, I was like, wow, like it's amazing what people think when they hear England or London, and the reality that's happening in our school system for young people is really, on one hand, depressing. I know my colleagues back home are like striking with many people in the public sector because they want a change that's going to make their lives easier and better to work more functionally for their students. And so during that journey, my wife and we found out that my wife's pregnant, and we're going to be welcoming a baby into this world sometime soon. And then the pandemic happened, and the world were like, right, I don't want any of you coming into our country. Schools were like, right, we're going to shut our doors. Everyone stay at home. And so here I am, with my wife who's pregnant. We're in our flat in London. And I was finding myself like up until 5 a.m. every night doing my own research, which I used to do here and there, but just much more intensely. And you know how Google can work and algorithms, and somehow I find out about Cardano. And I'm like, what's this Cardano? Who's this Charles guy? And then my wife's like, well, why do you keep watching these videos about blockchain and Charles and then Cardano? And you're going to get sucked into this cult. And, she's like, you better watch out. And I was like, yeah, don't worry. Like, I'm not like, liquidating all our savings and putting it into some crypto. I'm doing my research. And yeah, one day I find out about this town hall from some people that supposedly were working in the impact space, and they were like, yeah, we're all about sustainability and the SDGs. And I was like, that's awesome. How do I learn more? How do I meet these people? So I spoke to James from Gimbal Labs, Joshua Akpan from Proof of Africa, Mercy from WADA, and those individuals, they shared their story with me, and I realized, like, damn, you guys should be on the news or something. This is not what you see on the news right now, And if you type blockchain, you're not going to hear these stories, unfortunately. And then James was like, oh yeah, there's this meeting, you should come. And it was like a town hall. Anyone can come in, it's free. Just like right now, right? Anyone could be going on YouTube and lurking and listening to this conversation. So I thought, oh yeah, let me be a lurker and see what's going on. And Cole was in that meeting too, right? And we were like, oh hey, what's going on? Who's into like trying to make a difference with young people in schools, and who wants to work on sustainable development issues. And that's how Cole and I met and got to know each other more. At the time I was like, do I go back to teaching in class? And obviously I'm really interested in everything happening in this space, but I have to, raise a family, need to make a livelihood as well. So, what do I do with my time? I get a letter from the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, and I'm told that you haven't paid enough taxes, so you're not entitled to any support, even though you're not working, even though you're not getting any support from your employer. So I was like, this is crazy. We could be thrown out of our home if we had no income, and no one would really say anything. They'll just say, go to the system and sort it out through the system, but it ends up grinding you down. So thankfully, we had our savings and family and friends support, and we figured if we're gonna be parents soon, we need to be in a system and place right for us. So we made the decision to move to France, where my wife's family are. So we moved to Paris in 2020. And during that journey, I found a role in the university here, teaching in the humanities faculty. And that was like a miracle, because the opportunity, wasn't actually something that was expected. It was many events happened for this role to become made available, and for me to be at the right place at the right time. And that also inspired me that some kind of destiny or fate and universe giving me a shot, And with that experience, going to French university, where apparently I was the first teacher to ever teach in English on subjects like sustainable development, climate change, the history of British society and imperialism, all these topics that, I found very much personal ones and important topics to make sure I'm part of the conversation with the people who are about to enter the job market, and also be the ones that make a positive change, hopefully. And given all the research I had been doing at home till 5 a.m. and all those YouTube videos, I was saying to the students, has anyone here heard of blockchain? Has anyone here heard of crypto? And the only time I had a hand go up, it would be like, yeah, I heard about it, but Bitcoin, right? Or yeah, those moon coins, right? You can make some good money. No one was talking about how any of this could be used to make the world a better place, how it's actually not just like science fiction, but it's happening. And so I thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity to help the new generation get their hands on what's happening, right? If I can just share some resources, websites, YouTube videos, that's a start. That's how I started. I eventually started to put them on projects to do independent research. Here's some challenges and questions. Do your research and present it back to class. And we started to have really great discussions around how, for example, smart cities. What is a smart city? We talk about technology. We talk about having no air pollution. We talk about a closed loop circular economy where waste is value. But how does blockchain or crypto come into that? How can it help accelerate a positive transition to such living environments where, actually, we are making good use of our resources and we're not destroying the planet at the same time. And bit by bit, with Cole, for example, we found out that, this community, not only is it building something in some dark room somewhere, inaccessible to the world, it's all open for anyone who wants to investigate it. It's actually happening in different universities across the world with these research labs. So everyone's welcome to check the papers. It's all peer reviewed. And there's a community and a treasury, Project Catalyst. And this Project Catalyst can be approached by anyone in the world for free. You can come into the community and get to know each other and ask questions and see if you have an idea that solves a real problem. With the help of this technology and this community, you get some funds to help you do it. So I was learning more about that with Cole and others from the community. And that really is what I would say was the springboard for Sustainable Ada to be, where we are today, and to meet everyone that we've partnered with along the way. And that is still, a story that hasn't gone to every household and everyone in the world, because somehow, it still comes down to humans, right? If we're right now 5 people, and then you speak to 5 people, and then the story travels. And then some people, for whatever reason, we will have our own bias, like, oh, that sounds too good to be true, or I don't have the time to read that link you sent me or watch that video you sent me. I'm already caught up with everything I'm struggling to survive with, so this is just an extra thing. And that's also the real challenge we all have to be aware of, right? We're in our seats right now, but whoever we speak to and whoever we may want to help, it's always about, like, you got to think outside your shoes, and be on the level with everyone on their level. Like the Blankets to the Streets project, that for me, I was like, it's really innovative that NFTs could be used in a way that brings money to direct impact on the streets. And I was reading on the website, and it's so true. You can't imagine how it must feel to go to an interview, and the stakes are so high. If you don't get that job, it's not like, it's nothing. But then on top of that, you haven't slept properly, and you haven't eaten, and you're freezing because it's winter. Those are the sort of problems that we're supposed to be the developed world. Like they like to speak about all these, big events, the developing world and the developed world. But we all have the problems right on our doorstep that we could solve if the government, really made them a priority. But it's a lot more complicated than that, isn't it? So the people themselves, that have the resources and the care to solve those or make lives better, it's down to them to choose to do that. And I think that's really powerful and moving to know that still possible, because it's a constant daily assault on all of us to not give a damn about someone else actually, and just care about yourself and just cover your own back and don't worry about others, because someone else will deal with that, right? So yeah, like that's another powerful message about this community, I think, is we're all here, you know, for a good mission.
Yeah, man. Your story, how you came into Cardano and how you came, just your whole story. I mean, honestly, the whole walk up is relatable on a lot of different fronts. And I'm sorry about your friend, the loss of your friend. I can tell how loss is often the catalyst for a lot of us. It was definitely a catalyst for me. Mental wellness challenges similar to what your friend was probably facing. So I'm glad we found our way to a common cause. Cardano definitely sounds like the space for that. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you better and more about Sustainable ADA. I guess next week we'll spend a little bit more time. We'll get to dig into the Proof of Impact report, which is the initiative you guys are working on that we're really excited to be a part of and to, you know, be able to witness in action. Is that something you guys are cool with coming back next week to share on, so we can touch on that and also talk about the climate?
Most definitely, yeah. And yeah, we look forward to it. Yeah, the impact report is kind of a community initiative that has really, it's going to help the entire Cardano ecosystem and greater blockchain space see all the impact happening on Cardano. So definitely down for that.
Perfect, thank you. And we'll be in contact throughout the week. Absolutely. Nizzo, I know you got a video. Are we ready to show a little video on Sustainable ADA, and then we can take our next step?
We'll play the video on Sustainable ADA, and then you wanted to speak about the impact report, or might as well do that next week then.
Yeah, we can just do that next week. Yeah, for sure.
We get it thorough, you know, we'll get a thorough explanation, and we'll ask all the questions. I'll probably have a bunch. Yeah, so this is just a video for Sustainable ADA. It says the Sustainable ADA vision, right?
Yeah, our vision and mission.
All right, let's get it.
Sustainable ADA connects you to the real-life examples of how Cardano is enabling cascading disruption by change agents, creating a better tomorrow today. Stories of empowering people taking action in life-changing ways, actions that ripple in globe-shifting ways for a more sustainable, peaceful, and prosperous world for all. Connecting the dots between blockchain, Cardano, and Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and actions on the ground by showcasing case studies of positive progress and potentially valuable opportunities to be unlocked. Sustainable ADA is a space where you can learn more about the transformative potential and impact of Cardano and collaborate with others to receive guidance, access to tools, and community support while integrating solutions to challenges faced by you, your business, or your community. Clarifying and demystifying notions of blockchain and how it relates to sustainability and Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Providing resources for educators and activists to confidently introduce blockchain technology into people's lives, highlighting the sustainable advantages and positive impacts on communities and businesses. Bridging people into a world where they are welcomed on their lifelong learning journey and invited into the Cardano community. Ultimately enabling and empowering visitors to discover, acquire, and nurture an appreciation of what blockchain is, its limitations, and its possibilities. Sustainable ADA, the stepping stones to a sustainable and equitable world for all.
I love that. That's a dope video too. Yo, I'm excited. Next week, yo, we'll learn way more.
Yeah, let's get it. I'm super excited as well. And just thank you guys so much for having us on today. And I'm so excited to see where our partnership and all the cool collaboration goes. And thank you for what you guys do and for creating Color the Blockchain. We're really, really thankful for everything you guys are doing too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right. See you later, partners.
Hey.
All right, yo, we'll talk to y'all later, man. We're just going to run the outro, but thank you again. See y'all next week.
Take care, fellas. Thanks for coming by.
Take care.
Peace. Oh my God, I just cut him off like a jerk. Sorry, guys.
No, but it
I
was
didn't
great
mean
getting to
that.
know them, man. There's some really good
Yeah.
guys. I'm glad we got a chance to get to know them and introduce them to the community, and I can't wait to do more and more together. We've got a lot on deck. What's up, Demo?
Hey man, just soaking in that incredible story. That was quite the journey, quite the adventure, and yeah, got a lot more questions for them next week. So I'm excited that they're coming back.
I know I should have had you up there.
Yeah,
I
we got a lot of.
I was soaking it all in, so I got time to prepare my questions for next week.
Mhm.
I got
Perfect.
but it was
Man.
cool, man. Shout out to all the guests today: Arif, Raz, Cole, sustainableada.com, blockchain.org, blanketsforthestreets.org. Is it sustainableada.com or .org? Did I mess that up?
.com.
.com. All right, cool. Yeah, man. What a great episode.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah. The story brought
very
some
spir-
tears to my eyes.
It's very spiritual. I feel very very good about it.
Yeah.
Inspired.
Good, yo.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad we had him on, and it, like you said, it was definitely a tearjerker, man. It was definitely a heart-wrenching story, but I think that's a lot of our stories coming into Web3, and we'll have a lot more stories that we're going to tell on here over the weeks to come. All right.
I relate to that so much. Yeah. How do you feel about that, Sky?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like we've all had those moments in our life that propel us on different journeys, you know. And it's sad when you lose friends like that. I've lost a friend like that as well, and it's a hard thing to deal with. And
Yeah, and even having spaces like this to speak about it, and having people like that to start foundations and initiatives, just almost like from that, you know what I mean? And it just gives everyone an extra chance. That's what it does. It gives everyone an extra chance. And hearing a story like that is going to give someone an extra chance. You know, like people are feeling low at times, people are feeling trapped, and just hearing that is like, yeah, you know, it's crazy how like someone's like your story of all this pain, you know, can end up really inspire others and heal their pain just by because they can relate to it. But maybe that's a whole nother show, or
It also
maybe it isn't.
inspires you to keep going, you know, because no matter what the world throws at you, as long as you have pure intentions in your heart, everything always seems to align the way it should.
yeah, whether we understand it in the moment or not.
And it's that struggle that we go through that makes us stronger people and makes that cause that we fight for that much more important.
100%, man. So you want to wrap up for next week? Next week we got something special. Like, actually, we'll fully announce it when we get the date. But I think next Saturday me and Sky might be somewhere else for this episode. You know what I mean? We might be in Victoria, where we are gonna go get. The goal is to get the computers next week. And before we go, I'd like to play the two videos. It's about 1 minute and 30 seconds in total. The first one will explain what this initiative is that Color the Blockchain is working on right now. And the second one is the current update. And hopefully by next week, we have a third update. So let's get these playing and we'll say peace.
Peace.
Our current initiative to bring 5 computers to an Indigenous community is to show people proof of work while we start right at home, here in Canada, stolen native land, the same place where Color the Blockchain was founded. Here are some ways you could help us color the blockchain. We're always accepting refurbished or old computers that are just sitting inside your home or your office space, collecting dust. Send it to us and we'll put it to good use. We're also using Web3 technology to fund this project. You could donate through fiat, you could donate through cryptocurrency, and you can also donate by purchasing one of our collector's NFTs. Purchase the Color the Blockchain collector's card and support us as we get resources for youth and communities in need while making sure we could keep the lights on. Remember, there are several other ways to support Color the Blockchain. Simply email us and let us know. Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to help us spread the word? Do you want to write a story about us? Or do you just want to give us the words of encouragement? Color the Blockchain. Equal power. Get connected. Our first goal is to bring 5 computers to an Indigenous community.
Actually, you know what? It's repetitive. We got 4 computers out of the 5. We're going to bring it next week, hopefully. But thank you all. All right, we're good? Are we out?
Good.
All right. Peace.